Hi, I'm Emma and I'll show you how you can model your transport in a scalable way in Mobius so that you don't need to go to Excel anymore to calculate your new transport if something changes. We're going to dive right in so I can show you what I mean. So for this product we have previously modeled the transport fabric. As you can see, we can scale the transport per square meter, so that's really nice. So if we're using more square meters we can scale that. But if something changes for the transport, for example the weight of the fabric per square meter or the amount of kilometers that it travels, for example because we're getting it from a different supplier, then we can't really change that here because we will need to go to Excel and calculate the new ton kilometers from those two changes. And so you can actually set up your transport in Mobius in a way that you don't have to do that, and I'm going to show you now how that works. Let's dive in and let's first look at my example to show you what I mean. Essentially, if you want to make the unit ton kilometer more transparent and you want to be able to change it in Mobius, you need to pull it apart into two different components. So a weight component and a distance component. So that's what I've done in this structure. So what you see here is that the top item that we have here is transport to factory per kilogram. So the unit of this item is also kilogram. This means that I have a separate field to fill out the weight of my recycled PE fabric. So that's already the first component of the formula. And then we also need a place where we can enter the distance of the transport. And that I have done with the items below. So what you see is for every type of transport, so truck or container ship transport, I have created another layer, which is the transport per kilometer. Essentially, a ton kilometer is the amount of weight times the amount of distance. And in this item that we're looking at right now, we are talking about 1 kilogram. So that's 0.001 tons. So that's a constant. That helps because that means that we can actually calculate the amount of kilometers. So here, what you see is that for 1 kilometer, I have added 0.001 ton kilometer, which means 1 kilometer for 1 kilogram. Which is exactly what we're modeling here. And because of that, I can just fill out the distance I'm traveling here and I will get the right amount of ton kilometers. So that's really nice. So what I'm going to do is, for example, add 260 kilometers for this item. Then let's say 15,000 kilometers per boat. This is all the correct amount of transport for 1 kilogram. And now we can scale this 1 kilogram to the amount of material that we're actually using. In that way, get our transport complete. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our PE fabric, this one, and we're going to add some transport. So I'm going to create a new item. It's going to be called transport to factory per square meter. And the unit will be square meter because we're actually modeling our recycled PE fabric also per square meter. So it's nice to take that unit. And here we have 1 square meter, so I'm just going to add 1 square meter. And now I'm going to show you why this is really nice. Because now we're going to add the transport per kilogram that we just created. And here we can fill out the amount of kilograms that we need. And because of that, the transport will automatically be scaled to the amount of kilograms that we're using. So let's say our square meter of fabric weighs 0.2 kilograms. So I'm going to add that. And what you see now is that the distances are not matching with our distances anymore, which actually shows you that the transport has been scaled to the amount of kilograms. Because if I put in here 1 kilogram, then we will get the distances that we just filled out, because these distances are based on transporting 1 kilogram. But if we're scaling that, the distances might look weird, but actually this shows you that you're getting the right amount of transport. And what this construction is helping you with is giving you a field to fill out the distance and the mass, so you can change them independently and immediately have the right transport. So let's look at cases where you have to change it. So for example, let's say that now we're using a thicker fabric, so our fabric mass is changing. We can just type 0.3 kilograms per square meter and then our transport has changed. So that's really easy because otherwise I would have had to go to Excel. And if I want to change the distance, how I can do that is clicking on open item, because you always want to fill out the distance per 1 kilogram. That's really important. So we're going to go to open item, and now we're back at the item that has the transport per 1 kilogram. And I'm going to change the distance here. So let's say that we're getting it from a different supplier and we're now traveling 4,000 kilometers instead of 15,000. We can just change that here and then go back to our fabric. And here you see that the transport has changed again. So in this video I've shown you how you can model transport in a more scalable way in Mobius so that you don't need Excel anymore to model transport. I think this is quite a difficult concept to grasp, so you can always re-watch the video or check out our help center and get in touch with us. Good luck with making your own LCAs!